All right, guys, it's time for a little something new today. I've had this idea of sharing some of the things that have really resonated in my growth journey with you. And we've done that. We've done that in book form with goals and how successful people think. But I thought, what about another delivery system or another medium that I get information from? And that's podcasts. And where I want this to go is maybe someday, maybe at the end of this 365 days, is I just have this collection of things that I want to share with you over the lifetime of my learning. And I've got a number of different names for it. Who knows what it's going to turn into? But today I just want to practice with the podcast. I have heard what we are about to review together multiple times. But as I was driving a couple weeks ago, I heard John Maxwell talk about the 5 daily essentials. And I want to take a moment and let's hear from him and let's learn together. Here we go.
It's what you referred to a little bit earlier in your question when I call them everyday essentials. When you said every day I read, I do 5 things as an author, just 5 things. And it's only 5 and they're all simple. Everybody can do it. I mean, nothing's complex about it. But every day I read, every day I think, every day I file, every day I ask questions, and every day I write.
All right, 5 essentials. Every day I read, every day I think, every day I file, every day I ask questions, every day I write. I love those 5 things. And these are 5 things that I've just adopted in my learning journey. I try to read 10 pages a day. Sometimes it's more than that. Last night we had family reading time where the kids and Lindsay and myself all read. And I think I read about 12 pages last night. So sometimes it just falls into alignment. We're doing it together. Sometimes I get to the end of the day and I haven't read yet. And I've got to pull out my book, whether that's on my iBooks or whether it's a hard copy book. And I got to read, but have to prioritize the input of reading every day. Every day I think. I always try to create a little bit of space, whether that's in the morning with my first cup of coffee or a little bit later throughout the day when I'm thinking through my task list. I'm consistently making space to think and to reflect on what's going well and what's not going well. Every day I file. This is a big one. And if you're in speaking or communicating or coaching or leading, if you're in any one of those buckets, which you're probably in multiple of those buckets, you got to have a file system. You got to have a place where you put things. Here's the thing. You don't want to start to dig a well when you're thirsty. No, you want to have already dug the well. It's the same thing when you need to prepare for a talk, when you need to set things up for a meeting that you have coming up. You don't want to be cruising through books at that time, trying to figure out what you're going to say. You don't want to be searching for quotes. You don't want to be searching for ideas. No, every day you file. Every day when you hear something, when you learn something, you got a place you put it. I put it in my Notion app. Whenever I hear something this morning, I read a quote that I really love. So I opened up my Notion, I went to thought capture, I went to quotes, and I put it in there. That's the way that every day you can file. You could use Evernote, you could use Notion, you could use your Apple Notes, whatever you want to do, have a place where you get in the habit of filing. Every day I ask questions. If we are saying statements or giving directions more than we're asking questions in our leadership, well, there's some opportunity for growth. And then every day I write. I was actually at the barbershop this morning and two of the barbers were talking about journaling and what they do. And one of them was talking about how just getting up and writing a few sentences in the morning helps them start their day right. The other barber was talking about writing 3 pages in the morning. And the barber that was doing my hair was like, really? You write 3 whole pages? And the other barber, she said, yeah, it helps me recenter my mind and get reset for the day. I don't have a bunch of busyness going on in my mind. So that's one reason that every day you should write is to get the busyness out of your head. I like to write a little bit every day because it allows me to take it in smaller chunks and process what's going on in my journey. I don't necessarily journal every day, but I do capture thoughts and write those thoughts out so that I can build them into the content, because where do they go? Into my filing system. So every day you should read, every day you should think, every day you should file, every day you should ask questions, and every day you should write. Let's hear a little bit more.
I do that every day. People, they come to me, they say, what do you mean by every day? And what I mean by every day is every day. I mean, what part of every day don't we understand? And people, they'll press me. They'll say, now, because every day is, that's every day. And they'll say, now, come on. Every day. Look, what do you do on your birthday? Well, on my birthday, I read, think, file, ask questions, and write. What do you do at Christmas? Read, think, file, ask questions, write. What do you do when you're on vacation? Read, think, file, ask questions, write. What do you do when you're sick? Read, think, file, ask questions, write. Every day. Now, don't miss this. I didn't say all day. I said every day.
Hit the pause button right there. I didn't say all day. I said every day. One principle that has stuck with me for many years, I think one of the professors that I had said it. I don't know where it originated, but it has stuck in my notes. It's stuck in some of the trainings that I've done. It's just stuck in my thought pattern, and that is, it will become a discipline before it becomes a delight. It will become a discipline before it becomes a delight. This is why doing it every day is so important, is because when you're doing it every day, you're keeping it as a discipline. You've probably experienced this. Maybe you've started the discipline of eating well, and then you go on vacation. And what happens? You don't eat well, and it all falls apart, and then you have to get back on the wagon, and that takes even longer. Or maybe you started the discipline of reading. Maybe you were reading 10 pages a day, or you were reading for 10 minutes. And then you took a couple days off reading, and what happened? You haven't picked up a book since. It has to become a discipline at first. You've got to have it in your routine. You've got to work it in. You've got to, at times, use your willpower to make yourself do it. But then it becomes a delight. You like the way it feels to learn and grow. You like the way it feels to eat the right foods. You like the way it feels to become more of the person that you want to be, to align in those ways. That's why you have to do it every day, but not all day. Some people think in this scenario right here that John Maxwell is walking through is that that's all he ever does. No, he takes time to connect with people and do things that bring fulfillment and excitement and pouring into others, but he makes sure he takes a portion of his day to do these disciplines. And then what will happen is, after you do that for a while, it becomes to where if you have a day where you don't do the things because you like them, you notice, and you say, I got to get back on that tomorrow, you're way more likely to get back to doing them if you fall off the wagon when they are a delight and not just a discipline. So you have to keep doing them. Let's hear a little more.
That may mean I only spend 30 minutes on that day because I have other things that are consuming my time. But again, what I want us to see is the value of consistency, because consistency compounds. So when people ask me, how did you write 92 books? Well, it's very simple. One word at a time. Honest to God, it's just one word at a time. Yeah, I've never been able to write a sentence at a time or a paragraph, or I can't look at the blank paper and say, be filled with words. In fact, I do it with a 4-color Bic pen. It cost me 79 cents and a legal pad. And I just write. Every day. I didn't say I wrote all day. I may only write a paragraph that day. It could be. Today I got up and I wrote probably 3 pages this morning before I had to go do other things. But every day I write. And if we could just understand the high return of everyday essentials and doing them on a daily basis, you would be wildly successful in whatever you're doing.
That brings me to the thought of consistency compounding. Consistency isn't something that's flashy. Putting consistency on Instagram can seem boring because you're doing the same thing over and over and over. But when you're always trying to figure in something new, you're always trying to find the next, the greatest, the best, you lose the compounding effect of consistency. And really, small habits lead to big results. And so I think that's what we have to look at when we look at these essentials. Are we doing the small habits that lead to big results? Even though it isn't a wow factor right away, when you look back 6 months, 12 months, 36 months, 10 years, you'll realize how much you've stacked up over time just by doing the essentials consistently. So, great nugget today on the 5 essentials. Here's the question that I have for you. I want you to reflect on. Which one of these essentials am I doing consistently? Which one am I doing consistently? I want you to think about that for a minute. Because the follow-up question, especially if none is the answer there, the follow-up question is, which one do I want to start doing consistently? Which one do I want to do more of? I want you to think in that direction as you're reflecting. And actually, by doing this, you're checking off the every day I think. Every day I think. There is so much power in self-reflection. Well, a journey is just a collection of 1,000 steps. This is one of the 1,000 steps, the daily essentials that you need to grow. We'll see how this goes. We'll see if we like doing it together. And if we do, we will do more of it. I'll see you tomorrow.